Hey everyone, I hope you guys are doing okay with the coronavirus thing and everything. Hope you guys are staying safe, healthy. Please let me or anybody else know if you need help with anything, you guys. That's what we are here for. So hopefully we're gonna try to keep the ball rolling and get you guys to learn. So you guys, we're gonna continue with our Chapter 7 notes. I know we took our Chapter 7 test before we left, but there's a little additional sections that we want to go over, a little extension, and we'll have a quiz over this when we come back after you have time review, so don't worry. But if you did not get a chance to print off the notes, you can always pause these at any time, write down everything. It's good to stay organized. Make sure you write down the date and everything that you're doing things on. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started and see how this goes. All right, I'm going to skip over some stuff that we can hopefully eliminate just to help you guys go a little quicker, and I'll focus on the main concepts. The zero product rule states in a textbook that if you have A times B equals 0, then either A is allowed to equal 0 or B is allowed to equal 0. Now, there's a couple ways of saying it. I prefer, obviously, what mathematicians would say, because the pieces of a multiply problem are called factors, and if you have a multiply problem equals 0, then each factor is allowed to equal 0. Now here's the reason why. This is what kids understand more. If the front is 0, 0 times anything is 0. But also, if the back is 0, anything times 0 equals 0. So it's true. But there is a big deal. We can only apply this rule if a multiplication problem, and it has to be a multiply problem, equals 0. So that's what we're going to try to make sure we set up each time. Now the nice thing is, everything today is already going to be a multiplication problem equaling 0, except for one trick. All right, so here is number 1. Whenever you read it, it's a times problem. I would consider x to be the first factor or the front. I would consider x minus 5 to be the second factor or the back. And I always do it as a little melody, and I go front equals 0, back equals 0, front equals 0, back equals 0. And I set up 2 equations and solve. So we can take the front equals 0, and we can take the back equals 0. Now again, this is what mathematicians would say is set each factor equal to 0. X is the first factor, that is allowed to equal 0. X minus 5 is the second piece of multiply or factor, and that's allowed to equal 0. Now x equals 0 is already solved because the variable is by itself. And to get this x by itself, I'll have to add 5 on both sides. And my final solution would be x equals 5. Now to talk about this really quick, some people get a little bit kind of tripped up. So like, well, I thought 0 could be in the front or 0 could be in the back. Well, these are the numbers that would make that. If you plug in 0, it makes the front 0. And if you plug in 5, it would make 5 minus 5 makes 0 in the back. So this is the number that would make the front 0. This is the number that would make the back 0. And it would be true. Let's try it again. Now, if we have a times problem equals 0, we do the little melody in our head. And we say, front equals 0, back equals 0. The front is x plus 7. The back is x minus 1. We go, front equals 0, and back equals 0. And we solve them separately. In order to get rid of this plus 7, we minus 7 on both sides, leaving us with x equals negative 7. And to solve this one, we add 1 on both sides, leaving us with x is equal to 1. Now again, neither of our answers are 0, but it's okay. Negative 7 would make the front 0, because negative 7 plus 7 is 0. So that would lend us to this situation. It would make the 0 in the front. Positive 1 would make the back, or the second factor, 0. 1 minus 1 is 0, and that would lend us to the other scenario. Okay, we're going to speed things up. Now that we have a times problem equals 0, we can go front equals 0, back equals 0. When I take 8x equal to 0, I'll have to solve that. And when I take x minus 10 equal to 0, I will have to solve that. When I divide by 8 on both sides, I get x equals 0. And when I add 10 on both sides, I'll get x equals 10. Okay, number 4. So now we have another scenario. And we have a times problem equals 0, but you're going to see a little trick. We'll go front equals 0, back equals 0, front equals 0, back equals 0. But when we take the front, or the first factor, equal to 0, and the back, or the second factor, equal to 0, we notice we can't solve one of these. 5 equals 0 cannot be solved. There is not a variable, and it's actually a false statement. It's not true. So when we say 5 equals 0, we say can't solve. It's not true, and there's no variable. So this will not generate an answer. But we do have to get this x by itself. To get rid of plus 3, we minus 3 on both sides to get a final solution of negative 3. So even though I tried to get 2 answers, I did only get 1. All right, now if you have the guided notes, because you have a printer at home, you can flip the page. And if you don't, again, you can just write these down on a separate sheet of paper. Okay, so number 5 is the hardest one for people to understand because we can expand the zero product rule. This is still a times problem, but we say the word times here and here. So that means there are 3 pieces of multiply. 3x is a piece of multiply, or a factor, times 2x plus 7 is a piece of multiply or a factor, times x minus 6 is a piece of multiply or a factor. And if we have 3 pieces of multiply equaling 0, we could set all of them equal to 0. Now I just call this the front, the middle, and the back. So I go front equals 0, middle equals 0, back equals 0. I probably should not do these videos right when I wake up, so my voice isn't as pretty as you're used to it in class. But I'm going to go front equals 0. I can do middle equals 0. And I can do back equals 0. And we're going to get 3 different answers then. To get rid of this 3, we divide. When we divide by 3 on both sides, we get x equals 0. The middle is the longest one, so I'll do that last. To get rid of minus 6, I add 6 on the left side, I add 6 on the right side, and I get x equals positive 6. And the reason why I saved this for last is it's going to be 2 steps, because there's 2 numbers on the x side. There's a 2 and a 7. We get rid of the plus 7 first by minus 7 on both sides. And then to get rid of the 2, we divide by 2. And you get either a fraction answer of negative 7 over 2, or if you want to use a calculator, negative 7 divided by 2 could be x equals negative 3.5. All right, you guys, that's going to be it. Remember, you could pause the video at any time. We'll finish the examples and show more tomorrow. We're going to go at a pace that hopefully you guys can follow along. What I would suggest you do today is homework number 10, which I'll be posting, and we're just going to do half of them. We'll do the evens on the first day, and we'll do the odds on the second day. I'll finish these notes, give you more examples tomorrow, but if you have any big concerns, go ahead and leave me a comment on Google Classroom. I'll be glad to help out. And you guys just remember to stay safe, stay healthy, physically, emotionally, and if you guys need anything, please reach out to me, reach out to a different teacher, administrator, and hopefully we'll all get through this together. All right, bye. And my videos will get better, I promise.